Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video. Now, I know it's been a while. Some things have changed, and there might be a few things you're noticing about me right now that are kind of different. One, yeah, I know, the nose, guys, okay? While I was gone, I got into a huge fight with a rabid bear. And, well, my nose did not end up fine. But I'm healing, and I'm on a really good track right now, so. Number two, yeah, I know, I'm a Mac boy now. I have a Mac. I'm not a Windows guy anymore, okay? I'm sorry. Alright, yeah, I'm sorry, guys, okay? I'm sorry, I know. Okay, now with that out of the way, let's jump into the video. Okay, so before we begin, I want to clarify a few things for you guys. Because I know some of you guys are already starting to comment some things just by seeing the title and thumbnail, and I want to make sure you guys understand some things. Number one, I love The Office, okay? It's one of my favorite shows. I think Michael Scott is one of the greatest, most well-written characters of all time. I also think Jim and Pam is probably the most realistic approach to a relationship on screen. I have watched The Office all the way through multiple times. In fact, I did this past spring. Number two, I do not mean any disrespect to anybody I mention in this video. I'm sure they're all lovely human beings, and this is not an attack on them personally. Number three, people can enjoy whatever they want. I don't want this video to sound like I'm trying to take your enjoyment away from these things. If you're a fan of anything that I'm about to mention, that's good. I enjoy it. That's not what this video is about. This video is just my opinion on why I think there's a big problem. Now, with all that being said and all that being put behind us, I want to finally talk about the topic of the video. I have a really big problem with The Office, which I know might sound a little crazy. I just said that I love The Office, so how can I, wait, you can love something but still have issues with it? No, there's no way. Okay, so here's my problem. People won't stop talking about it. And I'm not talking about the viewers. I'm talking about the former cast members, the people who were on the show. Just won't stop talking about it. They won't shut up. Within the past year, just the past 12 months, there has not only been a 14-hour-long audiobook detailing the entire making of The Office, a gigantic podcast featuring Jenna Fischer and Angela Kinsey, two former cast members who played Pam and Angela on The Office, and now there's a new podcast hosted by Brian Baumgartner, who played Kevin. Here's the problem with all of that. Okay, that's great. These can exist, but here's the issue. They're all the same thing. They're all the exact same thing, telling the exact same story. So first, let's talk about The Office Ladies. Each episode of The Office Ladies averages from about an hour to an hour and a half. I'm being serious. Right off the bat, I think anybody can agree that's a bit much, considering the premise of the podcast is they go episode by episode. So each episode of the podcast is talking about a different episode of the series. An episode of The Office is 20 minutes long, so why are there hour-and-a-half episodes talking about 20-minute long episodes? And a good portion of that time is spent talking about the sponsor. I'm not even kidding. For like the first 10 to 20 minutes of each episode, they talk about their sponsor. Which, hey, listen, alright, I get it. You gotta make money. No shame on that part. But, I mean, a fourth of the podcast doesn't need to be an advertisement. And when I say they pause at every scene, I'm serious. They pause at every single scene. They will always have a tidbit of information or commentary for every single shot of every single scene of every single episode of every single season. The series ran for 9 seasons, and they're only like 3 seasons in. And I'm sorry, I know this is going to sound mean, and I do not mean this as any disrespect to the people who create this show, but it's kind of hard to listen to sometimes.
Season 2, episode 22, written by Steve Carell. Steve Carell! All right, written by... Hit me with a summary. Here we go. Michael decides to hold a casino night down in the warehouse to benefit charity.
Already knew that.
However, Michael is going to have to juggle 2 dates.
Oh, I've seen the episode.
Also,
like I said, I assume they are lovely human beings, but I can't listen to that for an hour and a half. Also, I just don't really see a point of this podcast existing when there's an audiobook that tells the same story but in a more structured format. But at the same time, I don't see a point in the audiobook existing when there's podcast. Do you guys kind of get the point that I'm saying here? Now, Brian Baumgartner's new podcast kind of shakes things up a bit for a podcast about The Office. He isn't just straight up going scene by scene, episode by episode. Instead, he focuses a little more on specific moments or events from the creation of the series. Does this need to exist? That's the question you need to ask yourself. Does this need to exist? Do we need to know what Oscar Nunez was doing before he was casted? Do we need to know about the lives of each individual writer? I mean, not really. I can certainly see somebody being interested in this if they're a super diehard fan of The Office, but to me it just seems a little overkill. The beautiful thing about fiction is that a viewer can watch it and be completely immersed in a world. But when you learn about all of its inner workings and struggles behind the scenes, it starts to kind of take away the magic. A great example is when Jenna reveals what Jim wrote on the note that he gave to Pam in the season 2 Christmas episode. If you guys remember, at the very end of the series, Pam finally reads that note after like 7 or 8 years. But the camera doesn't show what it says and she never talks about what it says, so it's left up to the audience. It's one of those big secrets, one of those things that was never revealed, and that's kind of cool. Now, on The Office, ladies, Jenna revealed what Jim wrote.
From himself to me, just saying what our time together on The Office meant to him.
That is a very sweet thing, and that's a really cool fact, and it kind of ruins the scene for me in a way. When I binge watched the series back in the spring, that episode of The Office Ladies had already come out, so I already knew this little tidbit of information. And when I saw that scene, all I could think about was how John actually didn't even write the note until the very end of the series. And when he did write the note, it was to Jenna, not to Pam. I didn't think about Jim confessing his love for Pam and her not reading it for 8 years, making it that much more impactful. I hope it's becoming obvious as to what point I'm making here, but just let me elaborate a little more. The story kind of begins to suffer when we begin analyzing and breaking down every single thing about the series. When we start to reveal things that were never really meant to be revealed, it kind of takes away from the entire point of that happening in the first place. The cracks of the series start to show when we go into detail about every little thing that happened behind the scenes. Now, you could make the argument that it adds a new special meaning to the scene. And while that is a very solid argument and you can totally run with that and die on that hill, to me, it takes away from the actual characters itself, the actual story. Sure, it's fun to hear about some behind the scenes stuff. I love going through IMDb and looking at all the trivia about some crazy stuff that happened behind the scenes. Like, I learned from IMDb that during season 4, Steve Carell legit called up like the head of NBC and refused to go into work. That's awesome. That's really cool information. That doesn't affect the story. That doesn't affect the immersion. I don't want to hear about every single episode. I don't want to hear about every little struggle that happened behind the scenes. I don't want to hear about every single change that was made to the script. It isn't fun knowing everything because, well, there's nothing to think about anymore. But now when I watch it, it's like, oh, that's the thing Jenna was, oh, that's the thing, and oh yeah, and then after that scene, Steve did this, oh, and then and when they were writing this scene, they, like, I don't want to think about that stuff. Because in 10 years, when we've learned every single thing there is to know about The Office, what's the point of watching it? It's fun to relive memories or reveal little secrets here and there about the making of a show, but at what point does it get old? It's too much of a good thing. They're showing every little juicy bit of info until suddenly there's nothing to talk about anymore. Do you guys remember the last couple seasons? Yeah, neither do I. But if you remember, The Office had become very oversaturated by the end. The Office was an amazing and hilarious TV show, but it lost its touch when it just kept going and going until we heard Kevin make a fat joke for the 100th time. Again, there is nothing inherently wrong with these podcasts. It makes sense that after a very disappointing couple last seasons, a lot of diehard fans want to be able to relive some of their favorite aspects of their favorite show. I'm not trying to put down the people who enjoy it, I'm trying to kind of reveal a bigger problem that it has. I do understand the appeal, but to me and a lot of other people, it just doesn't sit right. Just like the last few seasons, it may be better to just let it stay in the past and die. As Kylo Ren once said, let the past die. Kill it if you have to. The killing thing doesn't really apply to this, but you guys get what I'm saying. Alright, well guys, that's all I have to talk about. Please be civil in the comments. I don't know what the reception on this is gonna be like. I don't know how many people disagree with me. I know a lot of people do agree with me, so I just wanted to make the video. For fans of the channel, I will be making a lot of skits soon. I've written over 20 skits in quarantine. I apologize that I haven't been making videos. I'm getting back on it. But yeah, so if you guys enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe, do all that amazing stuff, and I'll see you guys in the future.